The world may run out of oil, gas, and water, but what we have plenty of is idiot drivers that just don't know how to drive a vehicle. Here's a compilation that'll make you laugh and be concerned about who you share the roads with. Let's begin. This guy confused lane assist and cruise control with autopilot in Teslas. He got to experience the difference between the two as his car crashed after slowly turning right off the road. People tend to forget that even while pulling out to the road in a car, you have to look both ways before you can speed off, and this near miss should act as a reminder. The driver of this white car thought people were stopping for him, but as it turns out, they actually stopped to let the fire engine go through. At this point, even simple intersections like this one are a place where you could expect some bad driver to fly through it without looking at the signals. Here's a fresh driver who aims to become the best tire burner in all the takeovers, but sadly and clearly has a long way to go before he can burn some rubber. Paying attention on the road is crucial, and this guy was a little late but still managed to stop before hitting the car. The people behind him, they weren't so lucky. If there's anyone who can compete for the best crashes with Mustangs, it can only be the G35 drivers, and here's one showing how qualified they are for the spot. The gas station can have multiple uses, and this guy is doing a good job drifting through the sections. But as with all good things, this one also comes to a sad end, and he got too carried away. Someone left a car right in the middle of the highway as it had stopped working. An oblivious driver didn't even see it standing there and realized a little too late. It's all fun and games when you borrow your dad's car to make a few videos until you crash the poor thing into the bushes. Who do you think is wrong for this? The 350Z driver for driving all over the place, or the Camry driver for not using his side mirrors while changing lanes? Fresh asphalt is very nice to drive on, but when you drive on it as it is being poured down like this driver, then that's a whole other story. Good luck cleaning that out, buddy. Here's why some highways have height limits. The truck caused the whole bridge to fall down right in front of this poor guy. This is why you need skill to drive off-road as much as you need a four-wheel drive car. It is people like these that make these trails shut down. All that the Saudi R8 driver wanted to do was drive down this road while being filmed by enthusiasts, but as it turns out, someone was a bit too impatient behind him, and probably jealous too. That right there is a beautiful and clean car, but the evil eye has its ways of getting to things, and a runaway car backed right into it. Here's a Mustang doing what Mustangs do best, crashing while trying to meet a car mate. A convoy of supercars was cruising down the highway when one of them began losing control and caused a major crash ahead of them. A tourist from the UK who came to Amsterdam thought this was a road that took them underground, only to find out it was a walkway for pedestrians. Here's proof that money doesn't always mean that you get skills that come along with a car. It might be just a scratch, but it'll cost thousands. People will do anything to cut some costs, and this driver isn't about to spend money on a tow truck. Hey, if it works, am I right? Speaking of which, it would be best if you keep your car maintained, as this driver crashed his car due to a fault with the front tires.
Hi, there's been an accident on the 55 just in front of Baker. It's pretty bad. I'm in the number 2 lane. It shut down the freeway.
What do you think is the reason for this crash? Did the driver fall asleep, or was he just not paying any attention on the road? There's a reason why trucks and other big vehicles aren't allowed in city centers, as they're just driving hazards. You never know what car they could kidnap. A person on a golf cart zoomed right into a car as it made a U-turn. That was in the end as he got back in the car and did something even worse. Since when did hitting a snowman at full speed with your car become a good idea? Snow's actually pretty dense and heavy, but he found that out the hard way. Here's another driver making a blind lane change, but this time, he himself felt a full grunt of the mistake as the car flipped over.
And they're stigmatized them so badly, and then so we pushed them really far away.
These guys had a really close near miss as the driver pulled out onto the road with a blind eye and went across both lanes, pushing this poor guy off the road. A mechanic who was working on this beautiful Supra decided to take it for a joyride and ended up crashing the poor thing like the idiot he is. Here's one way to take out the power of a neighborhood in one go. Just ram your car right into the electric pole. Here's what impatience looks like. The driver in the car in front decided he wasn't going to wait for a red light and cut the signal, almost ramming into another car. People began to slow down as a truck towing a car began to get its cargo loose. The trailer gets free and rolls down the road while the truck driver is completely oblivious. Before you start racing down the highway, make sure there aren't any cars around you that say police on the sides. If your car is heavy and you're carrying a load on the back, just make sure not to tailgate someone because they can brake much better than you can. The car in the front has something loaded on its roof and the driver forgot to tie it down properly. Everything begins to fly and comes down right onto this car.
Oh my god.
The first Mustang manages to save itself from crashing into the wall, but the second driver made sure to crash hard enough for the both of them. This peaceful home gets a rude awakening when a car comes slamming into the backyard, destroying the pool and flooding the whole place with water. Here is another intersection where two idiots crossed paths and got into an accident because one of them couldn't wait for the red light. It is people like these who wait for the car to come as close as possible before pulling out at the right time. Red light runners seem to have no end as they just keep coming and causing accidents that could have been avoided if they just looked. Highways are a dangerous place to stop because people barely think about the possibility of someone stopping in the middle of it.
We just got rear-ended, Fred. Oh, wow.
This driver comes faster than a speeding bullet, confusing the driver at the front on whether he's gonna cross on the left or right. Here's another overspeeder who lost control of his car when he realized he couldn't make the gap and crashed right in the back of this truck, flipping it over. This driver was too impatient to be moving behind slow cars, so he decided to overtake them all at once. What he didn't expect was him T-boning a cop car that was suddenly going to turn. Here's why tailgating can be your own worst enemy, because you can't see anything that's in front of you. The last thing you would expect to see coming your way is a van flying through the roundabout. Not all shortcuts are short. Here we have another driver who came in hot and sent the truck flying after clipping it at the back wheel. That white car was like, nope, not today, sir. This person is trying to do a burnout but can't seem to figure out the traction control system. He persists in doing it anyway and finally the car gives in and he explodes something. Not all idiot drivers are idiots. Some are heroes at the end, and this guy cut off the suspect unwillingly and caused him to crash, making the job easier for the cops.
Holy I just caught that on camera.
Peacefully going down the road, this driver comes across an idiot who completely overshot his turn and rammed right into her head on. She seems to be very calm and collected, to be honest. Everything seems to be fine at first as the lady driver has full confidence nothing happened to her car. When the camera pans down, that's when you realize she needs to get off the road. While making an exit from the highway, this driver came across an idiot who was making his way onto the highway using the off-ramp. Luckily, he braked on time, otherwise it would have been a different story. A peaceful day becomes a painful one when a driver overshoots his turn and swerves onto the wrong side of the road, crashing into 2 cars at once. A tow truck can be seen speeding through the red light in the middle of the night and crashing into a poor driver crossing over. Well, at least they won't need to call for a tow because it's already here. Pulling out can be a tough job sometimes, and this driver is the worst when it comes to that, as he struggles to pull out and doesn't even see the car behind him. He just backs up and hits it as if it didn't exist. Being a truck driver means driving with extra caution, and this guy is the exact opposite as he pulls out just as another truck gets super close to the T-junction. A little further and this guy would have been smacked too. Off-roading's not an easy job, that's why some people use spotters to help them cover the obstacles, but this guy couldn't even do that with his spotter.
Ой, ёбаный в рот, да ну нахуй! Пиздец.
It's not every day that you see a truck falling down from a high road in your driveway, or maybe it was just the Amazon delivery guy trying to take a shortcut. Before taking your lifted truck off-roading in the water, make sure it isn't as deep as the truck itself, otherwise it's going to turn into a watery grave. This driver gets cut off by people who are just zooming by the red light and confusing him into thinking that maybe he's colorblind.
What?
A BMW driver can be seen trying to confuse his car with a bike as he tries to filter through traffic only to end up causing a huge crash instead. These are the types of people that shouldn't be given a license after something like this. You have to be a special kind of stupid to be able to wreck your car while pulling out of your own driveway. Dad's gonna be furious about this one for sure. This person happened to be filming when a truck with its whole bed upended crashing under the bridge. How are truck drivers not aware of the fact that their whole truck feels different while driving?
Imagine just driving along and bam, you see a semi with its bed up. Someone's about to get fired today.
Watch as another trucker tries to squeeze past a truck that's stuck in the snow, but ends up slowly sliding off the side and flipping over. Here's a cement truck that was trying to drive onto a ferry that was already halfway off the loading bay. It pushes the ferry forward and the truck falls into the water while already having dumped half the cement. This driver gets ready to make a turn when suddenly an overspeeding car comes flying down the road, hitting a bunch of poles and grazing his car as well. His life flashed before his eyes at that moment. Emergency and construction vehicles on the highway make sure to be as flashy as they can while working, but sometimes even that's not enough for drivers to pay attention to. This poor driver gets hit with something that was unsecured on the top of the truck and flies right into him. That's some Final Destination type scenario right there. This trucker was speeding down the road when another one came down the wrong way. He managed to brake on time, but anyone would be angry if they were put in his place. Here comes my last brain cell in a Chevrolet and flies off the train tracks. Pretty sure he wasn't expecting to crash afterwards, but that's even worse if you think about it. Watch this Mustang driver cut off the Porsche Taycan, which bolts to the right to save itself, only to end up hitting another truck. Are they both to blame, or is it just the Mustang driver? Comment down below. These girls managed to get their cars stuck on the tracks as soon as the train approached. They thankfully get out on time, but now have to watch their car get destroyed. Good luck explaining this to insurance. If you ever wondered why stop signs in the neighborhoods were invented, this video might help explain all of it. It would be best if they just make speed bumps now. The lights turn green for these guys and they hop onto the roundabout when suddenly a car comes in from the right, almost crashing into both these cars at once. A driver from the opposite side of the highway ends up losing control of their car and swerves over the green belt and across to the other side, crashing right into the poor driver who couldn't even fathom something like this to happen. The driver of the white SUV forcefully makes his way over into the left lane, and the gray car tries its best to make sure to let him know he can't just do that with horns. When that doesn't work, it's time to turn on the lights.
Oh my God!
This has to be the most confused driver ever on the road so far. He not only almost clips this camera car, but almost breaks through the red light. Then the driver tries to back up the car, almost hitting a pedestrian. When it rains, it is mandatory for the cars to slow down, especially if it rains this heavily. But the owner of this truck almost crashes into a trailer being towed by its twin. It swerves around and slides into the board. While flying down this road, this driver's almost cut off by a Toyota that didn't see him coming. It does clip the car a little bit, but thankfully it doesn't lose control at all. This biker almost gets knocked off his bike as an unwary driver cuts him off and makes him slam on his ABS. If it weren't for those, he would have been a goner for sure. Sometimes you get to see the most random of accidents on the road. For example, here we can see a car flipping over as it drives into the back of a Challenger when it isn't even moving. Or this, where this person came across a weird moment as the driver of a Dodge truck left it on drive after exiting the vehicle. The truck slid onto the road, but luckily this driver was paying attention. Here's what an emergency exit looks like. When you have to take it, you don't care about who you'll hit or what will happen, you just take it like this driver. This guy thought he was doing something and everything sounded good until his car showed him what was actually burning, and it was his transmission. I feel bad for the car, not for the guy. What do you do when you're carrying a big load on a slippery road with construction vehicles on it? You speed through, of course. These guys are trying to show off their cars with skills they don't have, and the idiots bump into each other while trying to power slide on a U-turn. Let's end it for today with this driver, who thought he could use the snow to drift his front-wheel drive Volkswagen, but makes for a very funny fail instead. That'll do it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more as we have videos coming your way. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.